Hello everybody, this is Double Watson here today with a double deck analysis. Today I will be focusing on Jeremiah Vetter of Reddit and Magic the Gathering Vaults, Modern Budget Reigning Men. This is the first video in a series of videos that will be analyzing budget, modern, standard, and EDH decks. What I will do in this series is I will pick a deck, I will play it on some form of online Magic the Gathering service in hopefully rounds of 2 out of 3, but today I was only able to play 3 games with this deck, and from there I will analyze how the deck plays, I will be able to tell you how the deck plays, and I will also be able to tell you if this is a worthwhile investment for newer players, returning players, and players on the kitchen table. That's who this series is focused on. This series is focused on players who are just getting into the game, and I've been playing Magic the Gathering for 2 or 3 years now. I play mostly draft, so I should know, more than the new player about playing games, but I really don't know all that much more. So I feel like if I can squeak out a couple of wins with these decks in the matches that I play, that tells me that newer players will also be able to get wins with these decks, go 1-3, maybe even 2-2 at FNMs, and have fun with them so that they can learn the game and perhaps want to invest more into the game into a better deck. So without further ado, let's analyze Modern Budget Reigning Men by Jeremiah Vetter. This deck is, I would say, an aggro combo deck. It's a little weird. It has control elements as well. It's kind of difficult, maybe even tempo. Quite honestly, I don't know what to categorize this as. I'm not that great. Like I said, I don't play Constructed, so I'm not that great at categorizing decks. This deck focuses on one main combo. Focuses on Impervious Perfect, who allows you to, for 1 green mana, generate a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. You must also tap Impervious Perfect to get this creature token. It also adds +1/+1 to all your elves, so since all your elves in this deck are 1/1s, it makes your elves 2/2s, which is nice because they swing in for double damage. You only need 10 of them to swing in for lethal, which with this deck is actually not too much to ask for 10 elves. You might also enchant a different creature with Presence of Gond, which simply gives you the same thing, gives your creature the same effect that Impervious Perfect has, minus the +1/+1 to all your elves, but it'll still do. It'll take a couple turns if you have 10 elves, but no one's complaining about attacking with 10 1/1s. So, how you do that is you need to have Intruder Alarm on the field. When this card's on the field, creatures do not untap during their controller's untap steps. Excuse me. Whenever a creature comes into play, you untap all of your creatures. So after these two, the Impervious Perfect and the Intruder Alarm are on the board, for every green mana, which you're getting through your Llanowar Elves, your Sylvan Rangers, and your Elvish Visionaries, each one of those is equating to a 1/1, possibly turning into a 2/2, and though it's a lot to ask for, maybe even 3/3s, and you're swinging in for the kill. Is this deck worth it? That is what we're going to find out today. Oh, also on the sideboard, we got some artifact hate, some instant hate for maybe some kind of a Delver deck. But mostly artifact hate is what I'm seeing in here. Okay, so anyway, I'll get back to you after each game telling you how it went, and in the end I will wrap it up with my final thoughts on this deck and whether or not it is worth it for newer players. Alright, so game 1 I played against some kind of weird discard Storm. He had me discard my first combo piece in the Intruder Alarm early in the game, and then through shenanigans, I was able to draw into my next Intruder Alarm, but he ensured me that he had the kill beforehand. I really had no intention in sitting through his, game of Solitaire. I'm sure in tournaments or people who know more about Magic than me would have had more fun playing that game because they understand how the Storm deck works. But especially, number one, because I just had no intention of sitting through any more game of that, and two, this is a series made for new players. Uh, I just conceded. New players, if you're playing against Storm, just tell the guy honestly he wins because anybody who's playing Storm pretty much knows what they're doing. It's a game of solitaire, and just tell him to bring his fun deck out so you can learn how to play the game. That's my advice, but ask someone who knows more than me, see what they say. So anyway, on to game 2, and I'm probably going to do a game 3 because I wasn't able to get, I pretty much refused to get a full match with that guy. And I'm not blaming you if you like to play Storm, if puzzles are your thing, that's what you like to do, but I don't know, I just didn't have fun playing that match. So, on to game 2. Alright, so game 2, I ended up playing against a mill, and I ended up losing. Though, with the cards I was dealt, I definitely could have won. I didn't counterspell a creature of his that I could have completely counterspelled, and exiled with a negate. Or no, I'm sorry, not a negate, a dissipate. I could have counterspelled one of his creatures. But I didn't because I didn't see that what ended up happening was an infinite combo, which makes me lose. So, unfortunately, I did technically lose the game, though the deck was able to be played and be won. So, I think for the purposes of this video, I would count that as a win, just because we're trying to see how good the deck is, not necessarily my play. If you kind of understand what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'll count that as a win for this deck against Mill. Fortunately, again, wasn't able to get a 2 out of 3 match. Just pun not intended, wasn't in the cards. So, I'm going to try to get one more match. Not sure if I'm going to be able to have time to do a 2 out of 3 here, but if I'm not, I think 3 games should still tell us a little bit about the deck. So yeah, let's see how this next game goes. Alright, so I'm back with Game 3. Game 3 ended up being a loss. I played against a green-white deck, specifically named. I spent a lot of money on this deck, so that probably makes things a little easier. You know, it's obvious that you're going to lose to a deck like that. So, well, I don't want to say it's obvious you're going to lose to a deck like that, but it's very likely that a deck like this is going to lose to a deck that they spent money on. It was a green-white aggro, and basically turn 3, they got down a 4/4 that couldn't be countered. Turn 5, they got down another 4/4, and along with the ability of another one of the creatures, those 4/4s were 5/5s, so I mean it took me 2 or 3 turns to die. So, from what it seems, this deck seems to lose against especially aggro and mid-range decks, but and against more control matchups, it seems to do a better job because it's a pretty slow deck overall. I'm not really sure how I would improve it if this is the deck you decide to go with to buy it. Maybe add more stuff like Llanowar Elves, like Arbor Elves, like so, to try to get off the infinite combo with Presence of Good, Intruder Alarm, though maybe, or sorry, not Good, Gond. Maybe that's a little bit overkill with those Presence of Gonds. Well, no, I don't think so. So yeah, maybe that's what you do to try to improve this deck a little bit. All in all, I don't know if I recommend this deck for a newer player, given that kind of out of the 3 major archetypes, aggro, mid-range, and control, this seems to lose pretty hard against 2 of the 3, and especially those being games that are kind of quick. The more aggro mid-range games are generally quicker than the control games. It's a little discouraging to a newer player. Maybe if you're a returning player who just wants to play with his friends, doesn't want to spend much money, wants to have some form of competition, and really knows they like to play combo. But like I said, I would not recommend this deck for a newer player coming into Modern. Alright, so that's going to be about it. this deck went 1 and 2, technically 0 and 3, but like I said, I gonna count that mill as the deck was able to win, but I just played it wrong. So anyway, that's gonna be it. This is if you like this video, comment, like, and subscribe to our channel. And please give me constructive criticism when I'm doing wrong. This is my first video. I want to learn, how to better my videos. So without further ado, this is Double Watson here, signing off.